My family abandoned me in a coma, so I gave my $100 million lottery win to the one person who stayed. My name is Alex, and 7 months ago, I won the lottery. $100 million jackpot. The kind of life-changing money that dreams are made of. But instead of celebration, I was gripped by a cold, sinking fear. I'd seen the documentaries, read the headlines about winners whose lives were destroyed by greed, both their own and their families. So I made a decision that would change everything. I told no one. Not my girlfriend of 3 years, not my parents, not my siblings. I quietly signed the ticket, hired a team of lawyers and financial managers to form a blind trust, and went about my life as if nothing had happened. On the surface, nothing had. I kept my job as a mid-level graphic designer, I lived in my modest apartment, and I drove my used sedan. But inside, I was a ghost, watching my loved ones from behind a pane of glass, wondering if they loved me, or just the idea of what I could become for them. That's when I came up with the test. It was brutal, maybe even cruel, but I had to know. My lawyer called it ethically questionable. My financial advisor refused to be involved. But I had to see the truth with my own eyes. I faked a catastrophic car accident. The details were meticulously planned. My lawyer, Mr. Evans, was the only one I fully trusted. He contacted my family, his voice grave. Alex has been in a serious accident. He's in a medically induced coma. The doctors, they aren't sure when or if he'll wake up. Then came the real kicker. There were complications with his insurance. It's been disputed due to a clerical error, and the medical bills, they're piling up astronomically. We're looking at millions in long-term care and rehabilitation, if he even recovers. I'll never forget the first visit in the hospital room we'd privately rented. I lay there, perfectly healthy, with makeup creating the pallor of sickness, feigning a deep coma while my family gathered around my bed. My mother cried. "Oh, my boy," she sobbed, holding my limp hand. But her tears dried up quickly when Mr. Evans laid out the financial reality. He explained that my assets would need to be liquidated to pay for my care and that the family might even need to contribute. The room grew cold. My father was the first to crack. Well, Alex always was reckless. I told him to get a better insurance plan. This is a burden we just can't bear. A burden. His own son. My older sister, Sarah, chimed in, her voice sharp with practicality. We have our own families to think about, our own children's futures. We can't be on the hook for this. It's a tragic situation, but we have to be realistic. My girlfriend, Chloe, stayed for a week. She'd bring flowers, talk about our memories, and then one day, she just stopped coming. I later found out she'd started seeing someone else, telling her friends she couldn't put her life on hold for a vegetable. The visits became less frequent. The calls stopped. Within a month, it was as if I had ceased to exist. The crushing medical debt was a ghost that had scared them all away. All of them, except for one person, my younger brother Liam. He was 22, just out of college, working an entry-level job. While everyone else saw a financial sinkhole, Liam saw his big brother. He came every single day after work. He'd sit by my bed, talking to me about his day, reading me articles from my favorite tech blogs, playing my favorite music. He even tried to pay one of the fake medical bills with his meager savings. A $500 check he handed to Mr. Evans with trembling hands. "It's not much," he'd said, "but it's something." He'd do it for me. That was the moment I knew. Lying there, listening to his unwavering loyalty, I felt like the most monstrous person on earth for testing him, but also the most grateful. He was real. He was the only one. After 2 months, we staged my miraculous recovery. The doctors were amazed. I was transferred to a rehabilitation facility and eventually sent home. The family was notified. Their responses were lukewarm, filled with a guilt they couldn't quite hide. They expected me to be broken, destitute, and a shell of my former self. What they didn't expect was for me to be richer than their wildest dreams. I invited Liam over to my apartment the day I was released. I sat him down. "Liam," I said, my voice thick with emotion, "I need to tell you the truth." I laid it all out. The lottery win, the test, the painful results. His face went through a whirlwind of emotions: shock, betrayal, confusion, and finally, understanding. "I'm so sorry, Liam. I had to know. And you were the only one. You passed in a way I never even dreamed was possible." Then I handed him a cashier's check for $10 million. He stared at it, his face pale, unable to speak. "And that's not all," I continued. "I'm starting a tech startup, my dream project. I want you as my partner, 20% equity. You have a loyalty and integrity that money can't buy, and that's the most valuable asset any company could have." The news of my recovery and sudden, obvious wealth spread through my family like a wildfire. Suddenly, my phone, which had been silent for months, exploded. My mother was crying tears of joy. My father wanted to welcome me back properly. My sister Sarah sent her kids over with welcome home cards that felt like auditions for a role in my new life. Chloe showed up at my door, tears in her eyes, saying she'd never stopped loving me and had been paralyzed with grief. They crawled back as if the last few months had never happened, as if they hadn't left me for dead when they thought I was a financial drain. I invited them all to a dinner at a ridiculously expensive restaurant I'd privately bought a stake in. They arrived, all smiles and forced cheer, dressed in their best. The conversation was light, until my father finally broached the subject. "Son, we're so relieved you're okay, and this windfall, it's a blessing. We were so worried when we thought you had nothing." I put my fork down. The room went quiet. "I know you were worried," I said, my voice calm and steady. "I know because when I had nothing, when I was in that coma with no insurance and millions in debt, you all made it very clear how much of a burden I was. All of you, except for Liam." I looked at each of them, seeing the color drain from their faces. "You told me who you were when you thought I was broke, and I believed you. My money, my success, my life. It is not a community fund for fair weather family. You made your choices. Now you get to live with them." The aftermath was as ugly as you'd expect. There were screams, accusations of me being a cruel, manipulative monster. But the truth was, they had shown me their true faces first. I had simply chosen to believe them. Liam and I are now building our startup into something incredible. The $10 million changed his life, but he's still the same humble, hardworking kid. He's earning his partnership every day. As for the rest of them, they're still trying to sue, claiming emotional distress, but they're fighting a legal team paid for by a $100 million trust fund. They won't win a dime. I learned that money doesn't change people. It just removes the mask. And sometimes, the most valuable thing you can win isn't the jackpot, but the undeniable truth of who your real family is. This story had a happy ending for me and Liam, but the fallout with my family is far from over. Their lawsuits are ongoing and the drama continues. If you want to see how this legal battle plays out and hear about their most desperate attempts to get my money, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Tap the notification bell because the next update is going to be a courtroom drama you won't want to miss.